Virgin Bitch podcast. Inspiring women to overcome social stereotypes and share unique life experiences without fear of being defiantly different. Your hosts, Christopher and Heather. Let's talk, shall we?
Even your average therapist, guru, or coach will tell you that you are born with everything you need to thrive. But your tribe will program you to focus on the things that guarantee your struggle and your failure. Adoration, massive wealth, material success, and power over others. They sound so obvious, like the happiness we're searching for. But our guest today has been there, done that, and found a different truth. We welcome Dawn Thompson to Virgin Beauty Bitch.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you having me. It's a pleasure.
Thank you for doing this. Now, Dawn, Heather and I have declared 2026 the year of the bitch. It's the evolution of a word used to punish women, transformed into an archetype for women's self-development and personal growth through 5 powerful themes: betrayal, identity, trust, change, and healing, B-I-T-C-H. All important steps I'm sure we'll touch on today. But starting with B, betrayal, which is a process of being conditioned from childhood to overwrite our own innate sense of self and trust instead that happiness in the world comes through what we can possess on the outside, not what we are on the inside. And no one born is ever exempt from that programming, including you, I would imagine?
Including me.
What did that look like for you?
You know, can I just say I'm like all letter, every letter in the word. I've been there, done that. And so it's like I love like when you like invited me, I was like, yes, because this is everybody. This isn't just me, but we're all there, right? I mean, honestly, if I could just say how I started with my entire journey, it began as this. And I love because the first word is betrayal, because that was one of my inner wounds, right? I came with programming and lessons to master in that category, and it fell through into the rest of it. But you know, I've become known as the sole CEO activator, and a lot of people in business world is like CEO. I'm like, no, the chief energy officer, right? Like I have to be a master of my energy, and I was really a master of everybody else's energy. And I'm very good at seeing what you can't see and making it seen. And so it never really occurred to me what I did until you start seeing a pattern of this replication. And so, I mean, the best answer is I've spent my entire life obsessed with what's underneath the hood, what's under the surface of most people. And that's not how the real world works. And so even as a little girl, I used to crack open rocks at my grandma's house, and it might be an ugly rock, but I knew there were the beautiful crystals inside. And then I moved that curiosity. It kind of followed me through life and into college. And then I studied physiology and kinesiology and going into med school prep and thinking, okay, well, if we know what's happening in the body, that will help them. And then it realized very quickly that the body doesn't change until the mind does. And so you start getting into this mind, body, spirit. And I hadn't hit that soul, spiritual aspect of our soul yet. And then I realized that, even though people know what to do and you teach them and you give them tools and lessons, they still don't do it. And so that's when I became kind of obsessed with what's kind of running the show. And then it became personal for me. And I built everything, which is the external world, that I thought I was supposed to, the marriage and the family and the businesses. And I wrote the books and the image and the body. And then I realized internally I was exhausted and disconnected from myself. And so that I had a personal moment. Some people it's health, some people it's wealth. But for me, it was a personal moment that pretty much changed everything in my life. And it was the moment my daughter said to her dad in the other room, "How come mommy never laughs?" Like a 3-year-old saying that, it was like this dagger in my heart, and it woke me up. And so, you ask, how do you get there? It's always a moment in all of our lives where the energy of something is a reflection of who you are. And it kind of just cracked me open. My health was really, honestly, answer to myself was my health was crashing. My marriage, was falling apart. Motherhood was heavy. And I realized I didn't need to change everybody else, him, them. I had to change me. And when people start waking up to that, I realize I can't teach what I don't know. And so that was the journey where it created the work I do today, which is helping leaders and drivers to stop repeating the same old story, different costume, different drama, same betrayal, same repeating habits, and give them a manual for their own soul so that they could excel in health, wealth, and love without compromising burnout. But I was burnt out, and I watch everybody else doing the same thing. And so when you understand your own soul blueprint, you stop outsourcing your power and you start leading your life from this authentic truth to the life you deserve. So, I mean, there's my short version of a long, it's a 30-year, journey. But I 100% agree with you that we live from the outside in for so long, we will crash and burn at some point.
Yeah, when I hear what you just shared there, so much of what we've been doing on this journey with Year of the Bitch, you know, what hits me in what you said is what happens when all the strategy of what the world has
Right?
told you to be that picture perfect or all the success leaves you emotionally
Mhm.
exhausted, emotionally reactive, disconnected in relationships, and still wondering quietly why I don't feel fulfilled. And something that I saw in your work was success doesn't fix your patterns, it exposes them. And honestly, to me, that feels like one of the most year of the bitch statements that
Yes.
I've heard this season
You can use it
because
because it's so true.
because I feel like this season was about confronting our unconscious patterns that especially women inherit with people pleasing, over functioning, performing perfection, abandoning your intuition,
Mhm,
and outsourcing, to fill a void,
mhm.
and mistaking productivity with self love. So to hear, where you came from and what got you to the point that you're at now is so aligned with the work that Christopher and I are doing and
I love
and
it.
why we're so excited to have you here.
Yeah, I love that. And you're spot on. I mean, I see it daily with clients and corporate America and stay-at-home mom. It doesn't matter who you are. I watch it everywhere, every day, and it's the same thing you just shared in a nutshell. And it's time to change. It's time for us to wake up.
I want to reveal something that you already know. I'm sure a lot of women already know,
Hmm.
but I don't know that they are aware of it on a conscious level. This idea of back in the 50s, 40s, when women's emancipation and the Second World War, women got into man's world. They were called on to pretty much save the economy as men were off to war. And
Hmm.
they infused themselves. There was a little crack in man's little private room that they got a chance to see. And since then, they've been crashing that door wider and wider. But they had to adopt a lot of what men believe are priorities in order to succeed and disconnect from the heart and the soul in order to achieve what men have achieved. I think what you're doing is putting that focus back on the heart and the soul and still achieving.
Hmm.
Would I be right in my observation of that?
100%. Here's the thing that I think people are waking up to, and I think they want to wake up to it. I just don't think they have the tool, which is where I created tools to not take forever. And people ask me this question on all the time whenever I'm speaking or on a podcast, because and I have it on my website, is you don't need 20 years of therapy, you need clarity now. Right? I'm not, and I don't debunk therapy for their scenarios where we need to try to talk and get it out, but we have focused so much on what's wrong with us, what the problem is, and why we need to be fixed. And why is that? It's because we have taken on so much trying to fix it with strategy. And when I try to explain to people is you don't have a strategy problem. You don't even have a communication problem. I deal with this in relationship coaching and couples all the time. Like, well, he doesn't talk right. She doesn't tell me. And it's like, you don't have a communication problem. The problem that people are struggling with change is that they have an understanding and an honesty problem. We have an honesty problem. We're not being honest with, this is who I am. This is my authentic self. This is my blueprint. And my soul thrives and is empowered here. But we have this, go back in history, a pattern of programming that has set us up to say, but that's all I know. And so we keep doing more, we keep learning more, we try harder, we got the books, we got the classes, we got, I mean, it's a tsunami of information overload. And who wouldn't be overwhelmed? Like, maybe I'll try this, and we're trying so much. And so we keep doing the same thing and running the same pattern, and then it keeps repeating and we can't figure out why. And so the best way, from stemming off what you just said, it's well said. It's just not in the right way I look at it, or the same way I look at it, I should say, is the brain is wired for familiarity. It is not wired for transformation. It is not wired for soul. It is wired, right, to look at things in a logical reasoning of saying, okay, 0 to 7, 9 years of age, that's what I learned. That's what my nervous system does. That is the patterning. And so if something isn't working, even right, if it feels familiar, your system will keep choosing it. So now we go back to social patterning, parental patterning, all the wiring within the subconscious below. And we're like, but I know better. This was where I was getting tripped up with people. It's like, we know what to do and we still don't do it. Because until we go below the surface of the subconscious and know that we all came here, and the best way I can describe it is, because I do use astrology, and not to predict your future, to kind of show you your user's manual. And the user's manual fascinates me because in the logical world, if you had a new car and there was a light going off, you'd go in the glove compartment, you get the user's manual, you'd find out how to turn the button that turns the red light off, and you're good. But we have a user's manual for our soul, and we don't look at it to say, how do I put these fires out that I came to master? And so if something isn't working, we go into what we know how to protect ourselves from, instead of stepping into the fire, turning the fire off and going, oh my gosh, I'm a badass. I do know what to do. But we don't have the tool to look at it. So you're spot on. We're repeating patterns of, I mean, you go back far enough, our parents taught us productivity, work hard, do more, and it's not working anymore. We have to be aligned with our soul, body, mind, soul, body, mind, spirit.
Another thing that I've glimmered from your work, when we're just going through the paces because of this programming in society, or programming
Sure.
from how relationships functioned off of need rather than, kind of the new age of where we're at, in being able to, as you said, really finally focus in on what is true to us,
Yeah.
to the honesty
Yeah.
complex, if we want to call it that, and
Yeah.
then how to
That's true.
articulate that. Because I think that when we can't be honest with ourselves and we want all of the things that we've been told will fulfill us, I've seen this in my own life. I've seen this in a lot of lives of women, of achievement as a type of avoidance.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Sure.
it's like sometimes this idea of high achievers use success as camouflage, right? Like, people on the outside say she's thriving, or, whatever it looks like from the outside looking in. But, in your work with women in particular who have, some pieces that look from the outside looking in, like your life, that you described,
Mm-hmm.
they're still secretly detached and
Mm-hmm.
not, happy with their lives. You know, what have you found to be helpful for people to tap into that honesty complex, and really try to deep dive down into the root?
So this happened more by accident for me to learn. And I shouldn't say that. Nothing's an accident, but it was really kind of, again, after thousands of clients, you start to see these patterns. And I would have clients coming to me that are, as you suggested, women who are uber successful. They have the money, they have the things, and they're like, I'm miserable. And I watch this with high achievers, or people who are overdriven in wanting to look at the strategies and like, I've done it all, now I'm still miserable. And I'll ask them, how are your relationships? And they lock up, and you can see an energy lockup, right? Like, this is an immediate, I'm not at peace. And so I would have clients coming to me and saying, look, Dawn, I was referred to you. I've been to psychiatrists, psychologists. I've been on the meds. I've taken the classes. I've done the books. I've done everything and nothing works and you're it. And I kind of felt this pressure like, whoa, 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 don't. And what I realized is that once they got to me, I'm like, cool, because now we're going to talk about the truth. And so they came to me to get, once they got validated, you could see that lockup just calm down. And I didn't catch it until all of a sudden I was like, wow, that really was peaceful, right? And they're like, thank you for making me feel like I'm not crazy. And a lot of women start to think that they're crazy. Like the fact that they want to feel loved and at peace, and the femininity, I should say, within them, because we are feminine by nature. It's a natural process. We're all masculine, feminine, but we have the ability to use that intuitive, the feminine intuitive, and we've shut that off. But that's part of the soul. And so when you get validated and going, you're absolutely supposed to do great in your career, but you came here, and the work I teach is lighthouse mastery, which is just imagine you're a lighthouse, right? And you're the sun in the center, and you have 12 rooms around you represent the 12 categories of an astrology wheel, and or the 12 categories of life, right? Career, success, money, health, security, intimacy, children, spiritual beliefs, whatever it is. And you just came here to master these 4 classes that you're avoiding. And I bet if you just focused on those 4 and stopped looking at something wrong with you, you'd feel a lot better, and there's not as much for you to feel like nothing's working anymore. And so they allow their guard to come down. I see the pattern, realizing, so I only have to fix a couple things, and they're not even broken. You just haven't been avoiding them because they're pretty hot, because they're uncomfortable, and they're like, I teach people, like, I didn't want to go to geometry when I was a kid because it was terrible and I could barely pass it. It was with a D, but I did it. Same applies to women, especially because just because you can doesn't mean you should be doing it all. But we try to do it all, and then it burns us out, as I did. And I've had 2, brushes with death because of that, because I thought I was stronger than that, until my body said, nope, I'm going to shut you down for you, because you won't say no, I'll say no for you. Well, I'm watching women. The pattern is this: when they can't look at it, they can at least get the validation, their body shut them down first. And I don't like it. I don't like watching it, but you can at least give them the validation of why it's happening so they can get out. It's something that's quite prevalent right now, especially with women, because of all the things you just shared. Do you notice that?
Oh, yeah, I was just going to say, we've started this process of Year of the Bitch in January. We've spoken to dozens of women, and there are patterns. You just regurgitated the pattern.
Yeah.
It seems universal.
Yes.
To that struggle, for sure. And that's where we want to introduce the bitch. And for us, that is just something that is innate, that you're not allowed to show the world. You're not allowed to let her out of her cage, ever. Right? But we don't see it as something bad or something wrong. We see it as something strong and necessary. Do you see where we're coming from with that?
I 100% support that. Like, I agree 100%. And when you can start seeing your soul on a map, on a piece of paper, and seeing that there is nothing wrong with you. You've just been avoiding a couple of things and thought, if I really succeed in this career and this money and have all, the success, they'll see me. And yet you're the only person that needs to see you. And if you don't see, so I've just made it faster to see you. Now, don't get me wrong. There are some people who still avoiding it till, like me, a health scare or a divorce, or I've had some embezzlement in a company, and I'm like, okay, so we've avoided seeing the couple spots that you need to see within you. And when you know that, you won't let it happen again. So you take back your power. And you're absolutely right. It's these patterns that just keep repeating. And if we could see them more visually on a piece of paper, or at least clearly, we have a path, we have a direction to go to, instead of focusing on the past of what's wrong with us. And this is where I call BS on everybody. There is nothing wrong with us. We are perfect. We're divine God consciousness, perfection, but we forgot.
I just want to say I so resonate with what you shared, and something that's a deep piece of our path on this podcast is very much what you had to say about the feminine.
Mm.
We truly there's no words to really capture everything that the
Right.
feminine is and that we do have feminine and masculine in us, but I think it's very comfortable to say that the world, starting with ourselves, has diminished or demeaned the feminine in so many areas. So, to us, virgin, beauty, bitch, and so much more is
Mhm.
part of the feminine.
Mhm.
And for this year, the year of the bitch is exploring um, that fierce energy that's part of the feminine, and is so
Mhm.
important um, to be able to be honest about what you want to yourself first. I love that you just said, we spend all this time harvesting success so people will see us, when really, you really want to see yourself.
Mhm.
And I want to dive in a little bit more to the patterns that you talked about,
Okay.
because I'm sure there's a lot of patterns that you've seen with the clients that you work with. But one of the ones that I think kind of stifles a lot of women is perfectionism. And you know, when I pick that apart, oh yeah, I feel that too. When I try to dismantle it a little bit, I see perfectionism really kind of being rooted in fear. And um, I would love to just hear your experience personally or with clients in understanding their perfectionism and being able to move through it.
So you're spot on. It's rooted in fear, and if anyone's like understanding of even the consciousness scale below fear a little bit is also shame, is where most of this perfectionist comes from. I'm ashamed to say I want to stay home with my children, and then it moves into that something triggers it, and then that fear locks you up, and we're like blocked from it. So those two things are holding all this emotional debris down below. Yet women are so powerful in their intuitiveness, which needs to feel, right? So we've like blocked our own source of like power by doing that. So you're 100% right. We're so afraid to just, again, speak truth until you're validated of who you are. Now, again, through my lighthouse mastery and looking at your soul's blueprint, which is just tattooed on your soul, it's an energy frequency of you. I look at four, as I call them, BS spots, right? Your four bullshit. Even I call it bullshit, but it's really not. It stands for blind spots. And what happens is it represents your blocks, your baggage, which we'll talk about, your emotional baggage, your bruises, where we were wounded as a child and we're very protective, and then our breakthroughs, which I think the one part of that fascinates me the most is that we avoid the very thing that will actually give us peace and joy and what we love and what we're drawn to, but we're following into this strategy structural society. And so the fascinating piece is when we look at these four B's, and I can look at anyone's map, right? And I can say, here's your soul map, and this is where I'm watching you. This is where you're blocked. And they're like, oh, absolutely. I'm totally blocked with, my belief system. Like I feel like I can't do that, even though, and I go, but what do you want? And they'll tell me something completely different, but that belief system holds a block in it. So there's energy blocks, we have emotional baggage. So I try to share with people, like Saturn in your chart represents where you're blocked, where your father wound is. Your mother wound, which is, it represents men and women, right? They all have it, right? But the mother wound is where your moon sits. And the mother wound, fascinating enough for women, is like where we have a money cap. So I'm just like, you actually can make a lot of money working a lot less, because women are so powerful at multitasking and pull it all together. But we have this mother wound that, if you think about where that energy is in your life, like, for me, it was self-expression. So I always held back till finally I was like, screw it. I'm just going to be me and speak me, right? But it took me a while until I did my own work on myself. And so the mother wound, if you think of it from this perspective, and especially women, the mother is where you've received your first bank account. we got the first current of energy from our mother, our milk, her milk, her attention, her love, or control, or criticism, or restriction, or abandonment, whatever it was. So that first form of currency is a very big indicator, which I like people to see, is like, but is it true for you now? Maybe at 9 it was, but is it true for you now? And they're like, oh, so I have to grow there? Yes. And they break the glass ceiling of that money, the currency, the receiving energy, but they can do less because they realize it's okay to receive. And where you were going with this is the big piece I watch, is they make it real good. They make it fine. It's keeping it and holding it. That's the challenge. And so I really find it fascinating if we could just look at, like I said, the tool I use is that simple. I just was tired of people taking 20 years to figure things out. And why can't we just look at these four, your four BS spots and step into them and say, you're right. I was pretty bruised there. That does hurt when I do that. But actually, if I do it, it's my superpower.
There's the bitch.
There it is.
You know what I find fascinating? You speak of astrology, and I get a sense from reading a little bit about you that it's something you were reserved in putting out front
For sure.
to represent yourself.
For sure.
Just as women are reserved in that bitch being out front to represent them. I find that fascinating parallel.
Well, you want to know what's fascinating about it is because I'm not a big, I'm little. I'm like 5'2", this small blonde, right? And I was in corporate America for quite a bit. And now let's go back 10, 20 years when astrology was woo woo, when spirituality was weird. Like I was such an anomaly. And so I'm kind of one of those, like, tell me I can't personalities, which was great. It was a great quality within me. And so, right, like, we don't want the woo woo, we just want the strategy. And I was like, all right, I'll come in and coach your executives, but I still need to know their birth chart. I'll never bring it up again. I don't need to speak it, but I need their information, because then when I would get into private coaching with them in the conference room, they'd be like, how do you know this about me? And so it just kept getting validated for me. You have to use this because you make people validated today instead of this ongoing strategy stuff. So I did hold it back until finally I was like, you want me? This is what we're using, right? And then I made it into Lighthouse Mastery, which is, another aspect of, I don't really care about the tea leaves in your crystal ball, because what happens is you'll see a lot of astrology online, or a lot of spiritual tarot or whatever it is, and they're trying to tell you your future is going to be this. And I keep trying to let people know is your future is going to look exactly like it did last year and the last 20 years if you don't know who you are right now and how you're stepping into that power to move forward. And so I'm more about validating who you are as a lighthouse that never moves in any storm. And that includes receiving and self-love and resting, which is not something women think that they're allowed to do anymore. It's like, just lay down and take a nap. And one of my achieving women clients are like, I don't know, I have time. I'm like, well, you do have time. So it does overlap quite a bit into that field. Now I don't hold back, but yes, I'm glad you caught that, because it was definitely a good example of where my emotional baggage sat in self-expression, and I held back. So I just said a lot right there.
No,
I apologize, but that was a whole dump right there, but it's a lot, right?
I think that, like, looking at ourselves and looking at like where we came from and how it influences us today and how we decide to move past it, it's great to hear that transition for you from
Mm-hmm.
the corporate world that you were in and still staying true to who you were,
Mm-hmm.
feeling like, being reserved actually served you in certain ways
Sure.
at the time, and now how you've fully stepped into what resonates with you and what you see as like your inner light, right? Your lighthouse
Sure.
being able to shine bright
Sure.
because it knows itself.
Yeah.
There's one piece that I wanted to chat on around another pattern, if we can go back to that for a
Sure.
moment,
I would love
because
to.
I think another one that I see really commonly with women today is women who became the strong one, right? We're strong, we're resilient, we can take on the world. And it's the woman that everyone can depend on. And I don't mean her family, I mean her friends. the networks that she really treasures, the fixer, the emotionally intelligent one. So the one that takes that on because she's the high capacity woman. And to me, it seems that there's so much of our identity being built around being needed, but not necessarily about being known for who you really are.
Mhm.
And I just think that the rhetoric around being strong can be both so empowering and so useful, and to me is part of the bitch, right? Is that she is freaking strong and
Yeah.
she is
Yep.
freaking fierce. But I think there's the flip side to that coin of, I think to me it's the other pieces of the feminine that come in, right? Like the softness, right? The not needing to work as hard while still reaching the goals that you want to reach, or, just not burning yourself out to reach those things, to let there be a flow of what really moves you, and to lean into that. But have you seen that with women that you work with, the strong one, and how have you seen that work for them, or maybe cripple them?
I really shouldn't have to say anything. You just said it brilliantly. I'm just kidding. It's all day long. I see this, right? Especially in women. Now, here's the thing. I try to explain to people, and again, please know I'm all about, I practice what I preach. So this has been a big shift energetically on the planet within the last several years. And take all the external riffraff out of it, just an energetic shifting of all of us, waking up and go, what am I doing? Like, this doesn't seem logical, right? So I try to explain to people how you start to shift all this, which is what I had to do, is stop. You have to start by stopping fixing yourself. Because we think we got to keep fixing this and fixing our health and fixing our body and fixing our career and getting a new strategy, and we're constantly fixing. And we have to start by observing. And most people skip that step, right? So for me, it was observing exactly. I am the picture, I'm the poster child of the person you just described. Like, I am the best friend. I was showing up for everyone. I am, running, for a while I was running two companies. Like, my husband was struggling, like everyone was struggling, and I was the rock. And I had to look and observe myself and saying, what part of this, they are grown as adults with grown as journeys that you need to let them, you're a lighthouse, let them be a boat. They can get out and kick the boat to shore if they're really ready to meet you at common ground. But I was allowing everyone to bring their trash into my lighthouse. I would light them up. They'd walk away great. And I was going, poor me. And this is a big deal for women because they all do that. Again, this whole just because I can doesn't mean I should concept. And so I try to teach people is you've got to take something in your reality and say, is this a pattern? And most women you were talking about that are doing this, there's a pattern of them doing it, not just at work. They're doing it at home. They're doing it with the friends. There's that person that's holding it all together for everyone. And so I teach your reality reflects your relationships. And so if you have all these people pulling on you, who's the commonality here? It's me. And becoming a workaholic was my excuse that I couldn't be available to them. And I thought, wow, I found something else to make my excuse instead of just stopping. So I did in this last year, I put myself on a work detox, and I teach this in my Soul Masters community, and my private courses. And I was challenging everybody to see, could they find one of those, wounds or those 4Bs and figure out if they could push past their discomfort, because we're here the more uncomfortable you can make yourself, it's just a big dose of courage to go, I can do this. And so I took myself off of like 15 to 17 hour work days, which is stupid. But in my mind, I'm like, but I got to get it done. And I put myself down to 5 hour work days. And just for a week, I tested myself to see, could I do it? What's fascinating is I'm pretty good multitasker. I was getting it all done in 5 hours. The problem was I didn't know what to do with myself. I think women struggle with this. What will I do with myself? Because they don't know who they are. And this was a big deal. So I put all of my execs in, or my leaders in, my soul masters, on this slow down detox. They didn't like it either. We didn't like it, but my point was, it made a huge awakening to us, saying, what have you been doing? You've been fixing it for everybody else, and when it's your turn, you don't know what to do with yourself. So I see that pattern all day long. It was in me, and it's really awakening of course, there are days you've got to do more or little, but are we even observing ourselves with the pattern that's truly present in front of us? And I think women are doing this because they want to be seen. They want to be wanted. They're ashamed. There's that shame and fear. I'm ashamed to ask for what I want because I'm afraid you're going to criticize me or tell me we're so afraid of what's going to come back at us.
I think you just took the words right out of my mouth, because I think for women, nature has given you nurture.
Yeah.
And now life has supersized your nurture. And without people feeding on that nurture, who are you? What good are you? What value are you?
It's a very big deep dive for a lot of people, right? And like I said, I'm grateful because I have this product or tool that I was like, okay, you're going to deep dive into these 4 wounds of yourself, or I shouldn't say wounds, but challenges, and saying, okay, who are you? And when I took off my label, took off the title, took off all the accolades, all the plaques on the wall, I was like, who are you, Dawn? And I had to sit with it for quite a while to say, it's a really good question. And as you were sharing earlier, it took, I don't want it to take these health scares and death scares and divorces to hurt people enough to wake them up. I want you to be able to see it now and just start taking baby steps to grow that.
I'm going to challenge you. Are we capable of that? I mean,
We are.
as human beings,
Mm-hmm.
it seems like we only grow once we are faced with death and destruction. That's as a humanity and as an individual, it seems that's our pattern. Is there actually a way out of that?
Well, there are 2 ways that the nervous system psyche can change: through trauma or through repetition. My goal was to get them on the repetition road, which was, again, I just put many challenges. I can go back to work, and I mean, don't get me wrong, I've had some good long days, for certain things that were coming up, but I did know I could go back to something I was starting to get used to, which is having some free time I've never had. So it's these baby steps of repetition that I started putting into myself, knowing that's something I had to grow in because I chose to. I think we're waking up enough now to say, I really do want to change. Just help me do it, not so painfully. Don't get me wrong. There are people who are going to get hit hard, i.e. my clients who show up and going, oh, I think I'm getting divorced, or, I just lost all this money, or I got this health scare. And again, your body will say no if you don't. So we have a happy medium to find both, but we do. That's why I call it the blind spot, right? Because we avoid this it's hot, it's uncomfortable. Don't go in that room. It's uncomfortable. Don't go in that partnership room. Don't go in the partnership room. They're going to hurt me. It's going to be bad. And then we avoid, and we get blindsided by that same relationship in different pants and different environments with a different person every time. And we keep getting blindsided because we didn't want to go in the room and learn geometry or partnership or whatever it is. And it's that simple. So walking in the room is really my gift to people, is just walk in. I'm not telling you to make massive changes. Just start somewhere.
Dawn, we could speak with you for hours.
I know, I could speak with you too, because you guys are so fun. I'm like, thank you for getting it.
There's just so much depth, such richness that is necessary to get in front of individuals.
Yeah.
So they become aware. I think that's where you and us really resonate, is awareness. We want to bring awareness to things that are, we already own. We own these things. We're just not aware of them, to get us out and get us, fully active in life.
Mm-hmm.
This has been an enriching conversation. Truly has. I want to give people an opportunity to connect with you. How would they do that if they're listening to this and want to connect?
The easiest place to start is to go onto my website. I have a reality check quiz, like free. You just go check yourself. Like, how's my reality look right now? And, it's where you can kind of start seeing your patterns, blindly instead of waiting 5 years from burnout as we started this call on. And so, they can go there and start there and get into my reality check class. Gosh, I'm getting like loose my tongue. And if not, then I have the All In Soul Masters, right? Which is where we deep dive into every aspect of your soul, but from truth. And you can just go to my homepage, ideserveitnow.com. My name, DawnThompson.com works too, but I
Spell it
Deserve
out
It Now
because it's
seems to be
different.
easier to remember.
Yeah, spell that name out because it's different.
So my name is spelled Dawn, Daune. I know it looks like Dwayne. Even the computer wants to swap the A and the U and turn it into Dwayne, but it's really Daune Thompson.com. So
I have to say
Beautiful.
this has been, it's for Heather and I, it's amazing for us because we live in our own little world. We have we have our podcast and we have the BITCH, Year of the Bitch, and we're working on these things and we talk to women individually and we find such soulmates. It's amazing to us.
yeah, I'm grateful to you too, because thank you. This has been just a pleasure to you get it. It's so nice to talk to people who get it. And I'm like, thank you. You see what I see. And honestly, it's kind of what gives me peace because I see enough of us. I'm on enough podcasts, speak with enough groups, and we're waking up and realizing we can have it all. It's the name of my company. I Deserve It Now, right? And my point is we can have it all. We just have to have the right tools to help us see that it shouldn't be overwhelming to have it all.
And the right people to show and share their experiences.
Absolutely.
So
And it's because of people like you that I get to remind myself, don't stop. They're right. We're all together in this.
Yeah, we are.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it.
It's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you.
Yes, and you have been listening to
The Virgin
The Beauty.
and the Bitch, BITCH in her year.
Find us, like us, share us. If you enjoy this conversation, you'll enjoy even more further on. Come on back.